So, we all saw this big debacle that happened today between President Ramaphosa and President Donald Trump in the Oval Office, where he was basically scolded like a child, and he looked so wounded and defenseless. He couldn't even combat all these lies what was told in this press, in this whole entire meeting. But I want to more focus on what his DA counterpart said, the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. Listen to what he said. And this is what irks me so much. But take a listen so you can understand where I'm coming from. Take a listen. Boom.
I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organised agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too, they have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to stop making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Mkhonto Wesizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now, the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government, because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union buildings.
So there you have it. Did you hear how he basically talked as if Julius Malema is insignificant? And this is what he does when he's not in Julius Malema's press, because he know he can't say such things to Julius Malema's face, calling him a rebel, and he's gonna lock those people out of parliament. And he himself he used to defend and say that there was no white South African farmers genocide. Now he's sitting there in front of Trump. He's basically throwing more fuel in the fire and actually confirming what President Trump has said, even though he knows it's a lie. The only person that surprises me is John Rupert, the South African billionaire. I don't like him because he has done a lot of things for South Africa that's not only South Africa but other countries other African countries is very distasteful. And he's a billionaire, but Trump requested his presence at that meeting. By the way, he's the only one who actually stood up and refute what John Steenhuisen was saying and President Donald Trump. But take a listen to what he said. That out of all the person, I never expected this from him. So even though I don't like someone and they say or do something that's right or good, I will always highlight that, even though I don't like them. So I don't get my feelings mixed up in it. If he does something good, I will say he did something good. If he did something bad, I will point it out. But take a listen to what Rupert said. Boom.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s.
So, their side, he is the only one who stated that there is a crime issue in South Africa. It's not there is a both race of people are dying, and vastly more black South Africans lose their life than the white South Africans. And they are also negating and forgetting the fact that there's a lot of cases where South African farmers unalive black people, feed them to hogs, run them over with their vehicles, bury them, beat them. There's so much things these farm hands have done to black South Africans. And people also forget, I think they have a very, very short memory, what during apartheid, what these same said families who occupy these farmlands, what they did to get this land from black South Africans during apartheid. They set dogs on them when they was literally tear apart until they got unalive. They beat them. Police is with us going to people's homes, rip them out of their bed, line them up outside, take their property, force them to sign documents, torture them, do all kind of some evilous things to our black brothers and sisters. They get a pass because most of them is still alive and they are yet to be arrested or locked up or even tried in court. So we must accept that. And now we have a few white South African farmers who will have lost their lives, unfortunately. Not because of they are being targeted specifically, but because of crime and a hole in the country is rampant. But he also met with Elon Musk, and this is what surprised me the most with President Ramaphosa. Elon Musk is the one who has been fueling this fire of white farmers' genocide. And there you have President Ramaphosa sitting in a room with Elon Musk, laughing and giggling as if they are friends from love. The guy do not like you. He spread so much misinformation about South Africa to Donald Trump to cause this whole debacle to come to fruition. All because his Starlink was refused from entering South Africa. And that's what I think to me is what he's carried this feeling for, because he don't want to pay the 30% as he should when it comes down to releasing Starlink in South Africa. He wants to go to the back door way to earn more money, get a higher profit margin. So do I believe he's using this to get the Starlink to be put in South Africa? Yes. Will they use the Starlink system and satellite to spy on South Africa? Yes, it's a fact. So that's the only good thing I say President Ramaphosa did was rejected the Starlink project in its current form in South Africa. I will give him props for that. I really like the fact that he did that. But you cannot sit in a room with a man that dislikes you and talk the worst thing about, and then not only you, and you see, they take so much of this entire trip is mostly about Julius Malema, and this is what I'm a little bit scared of. Whenever I see Western leaders take a set or take an turn the attention to a specific person in any African country, no, one, that person is doing well. Two, they are scared of that person in the sense that that person can spark a revolution. Three, they are making sure they will not make him reach to the rise of the presidency. We have known that the US government have been funding a lot of groups to do unconscionable things in the African continent. We have proof and fact and documentation of this. This is not me saying this. This is what even President Trump himself had said this, that they have been funding multiple what do you call those guys again? Those groups. I don't want to mention them because if I mention their name, your video gets shadow banned. But the T people, the T groups, them and mercenaries as well. So this is very disappointing. I'm very disappointed in President Ramaphosa, for one, for going with the DA leader, and for meeting with Elon Musk and not bringing anyone with him to help him to navigate through this battlefield when in a sense of meeting Trump in the Oval Office. You're meeting Donald Trump on his turf, and he's gonna have, you see, he ambushed President Ramaphosa in the fact that when he popped out all these videos and news clippings of white South African farmers losing life. Why didn't he bring up the fact that white farmers are unaliving their black workers and their farms and feeding them to pigs and taking their vehicles and run over them, beating them until they're no more, torturing them? All these things have been done to workers on the farm. That's brushed over, that's passed over. You're going to tell me some nonsensical thing about white genocide? Really? Of all the things they could harp on, this is what they choose to. Again, I think this stems from the fact that President Ramaphosa refused to accept the Starlink from Elon Musk in South Africa. I think that hurt him to his core, so he ran and talked to Donald Trump and spread these lies. Because this has been debunked so many times. Even the white farmers themselves have said that there is no such thing. Yes, the chart that Julius Malema sing, the Boer song, it's a revolutionary chant. It's not, no one have that song have never pushed or caused anyone to lose their life. And because if that was the case, they would have arrested Julius Malema a long time ago, because they have been wanting him for the longest while. So we know they don't like him. So we know they're talking about arresting him. Actually, he responded to that. Let me put it up on the screen so you can see. He responded on Twitter. Of all places, Twitter. A group of older men met in Washington to gossip about me. No significant amount of intelligence evidence has been produced about white genocide. We will not agree to compromise our political principles on land expropriation without compensation for political expediency. And this is the reason why they dislike Julius Malema, because he's for his people, which we should, because for too long we have adhered to the so-called superiority of the white race. This is what they claim they are. They are more superior. We are animals. We're like cockroaches. They treat us as such, because 90% of South Africa's economy is held by what? 5% of white South Africans. You can imagine that 5% of the population holds almost 90% of the population's wealth. Think about that disparity, all because of bad governance from President Mandela. When he was the president, he did nothing for black South Africans during his tenure. And only his wife. I think that's why he and his wife cast the split. It wasn't because of this whole cheating and all. It was because they was on two different paths. Winnie Mandela was more of a payback. Nelson Mandela was more of a kumbaya. And those things don't correlate. The clashes, they are going two different roads. So that's why, one of the reasons why I think they split. But I would more consider Winnie Mandela a hero, way more over Nelson Mandela's 10 years presidency, because he did a horrible job on South Africa and defending South Africans, black South Africans. He left everything as is during apartheid and after apartheid. He did not change nothing economically. Not one thing. Only thing he did was voting. That's the only thing he did that was substantial in South Africa. Black people get to vote. That was the only substantial thing he achieved. He go around the world being an ambassador instead of being a president, asking for aid and assistance, which I despise up to this day. So anyway, enough talk. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree with what President Ramaphosa did today? From the video I showed you guys earlier, where he was basically whipped into shape by President Donald Trump. This could never happen to Julius Malema or Abraham Traore or even Kagame or Museveni or even the new Ghana president would not accept that. Even the president of Senegal, President Faye. And who am I missing? I'm missing a few of them, but there's a few presidents he cannot talk to like this. But President Ramaphosa is one of those puppets that he wants to be liked instead of pushing his policy. So anyway, as I said, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Boom.